Hello, this is Big Boynton. Gus wrote that. How do you like his handwriting? And I am bringing you vocabulary lesson 18 right here in the state of Michigan. There it is, shaped like a mitten. Don't forget the Upper Peninsula. Here we are in Dexter, about right there. All right, vocabulary lesson 18. We're going to do a review. We are reviewing heartbreaking, which means very sad or upsetting. Fury, which means great anger. And bewildered, which means confused or puzzled. When you are bewildered, you are not sure what to do or think. Here's something I want you to think about. How might a kid look if they heard heartbreaking news? Can you make that look on your face right now? Or visualize a kid who just heard heartbreaking news? All right, was your picture in your mind a little like this? I can tell this girl may have heard heartbreaking news. Her head is down, her face looks serious. She has an upset look on her face. You might see a tear going down someone's eye if they heard heartbreaking news. All right, next one. How might a kid look if they were on the playground in a fury? What would they be doing? What would their face look like? Can you make your face look like that right now? All right, did you visualize something like this? A kid in a fury might be yelling or screaming or crying, stomping or kicking a ball. You could tell that they were in a fury and very upset. Next one, how might a kid look if they were bewildered? Can you make a bewildered look? Or what might a bewildered person do? Picture that in your mind. Did you picture something like this? A bewildered person might be scratching their head or have a look on their face like they don't know what to do or think. Might be just be sitting still because they are very confused. All right, it's time to get out your sticky note. Put your name at the top and number it 1 and 2. You're going to write a sentence for number 1, so give yourself some space. Don't put number 2 right next to number 1. And then go down about halfway and put number 2 and leave yourself some space to write a sentence for number 2. Pause the video until your sticky note is ready. All right, we are going to be playing the game Imagine That. I'm going to give you an imaginary situation, and you have to think about how you might feel and what you might do in that situation. I'm going to do the first one as an example. You don't have to do it on your sticky note. And then the other 2 you will do on your sticky note. Here's the first Imagine That. Imagine your friend asks you if she can play your video game. You say no. Your friend stomps out of the room in a fury. Can you imagine that? The question is, if your friend were stomping out of the room in a fury when she asked to play the video game and you said no, how would you feel and what would you do? So if you were doing this on your sticky note, which you're not, you would write the sentence and fill in the blanks. So I have to think, well, how would I feel and what would I do? Well, if my friend stomped out of the room in a fury after I said, no, you can't play my video game, I might feel a little guilty because I could have shared my video game. I could have said yes. And now I just made my friend feel really mad at me. So I have to decide what would I do in that situation. So I could write, I would feel guilty, so I would. So since I was feeling guilty, what would I do? Well, I might go get my friend and ask her to play. So I would ask her to play. I want to write my video game, but I don't have space. So that's what I would write, and of course I'd put a period there at the end. All right, and you're going to do the next 2, so get ready to imagine that. Okay, imagine you are reading a book, and it is a heartbreaking story about a boy and his dog. If you were reading a heartbreaking story about a boy and his dog, how would you feel and what would you do? Here's what you need to put on your sticky note for number 1. You're going to write a sentence. I would feel blank, so I would blank. In the first blank, you are going to write the feeling you would feel if you were reading a heartbreaking dog story. So in the first line, you're going to write your feeling. And then in the second line, you're going to write what you would do because you felt that way. If you were reading a heartbreaking story about a boy and his dog, how would you feel and what would you do? Pause the video until you have your whole sentence written, and of course you're going to have a period at the end and a capital I on I. Both I's get a capital, actually. All right, pause the video and come back for number 2 when you're ready. Okay, now we're going to do Imagine That with number 2. All right, imagine you are helping your mom make a birdhouse. She asks you to hand her a nail from the toolbox. You are bewildered because you see 5 different, actually not 5, 8 different kinds of nails. How would you feel and what would you do? This is the sentence you will write for number 2. I would feel blank, so I would blank. Right here, you're going to write your feeling. How would you be feeling? And then what would you do? If your mom said to get a nail from the toolbox and you were feeling bewildered because there were 8 types of nails to choose from, how would you feel and what would you do? Pause the video. There's more to this video even though you're done with number 2. So pause the video, come back when you're done with the sentence. Okay, now you're going to go to the back of your sticky note. You're going to write one thing on the back, so flip it over and get ready to talk more about Pruitt Peacock. All right, well, we're going to talk more about Bill Peet, the author of The Spooky Tale of Pruitt Peacock. And he's a great writer, so he uses descriptive words and phrases in his stories to help readers imagine how things look and feel and taste and smell and sound. And we've learned this before. Those are called sensory details. They touch the senses. And those phrases help us visualize something or help us feel it in our bodies or even taste or hear or smell it. I'm going to read you 2 pages from Pruitt Peacock, and I want you to look for great sensory details that Bill Peet used. All right, I'm going to read this page, and it's when Pruitt's tale begins to change. And as I read from this part of the story, I want you to close your eyes and listen for words or phrases that help you imagine how Pruitt's tale looks. All right, here it is. His tail had more growing to do, much more. One day he noticed that the eye spots had doubled in size, and fierce black eyebrows had sprouted just above them. And yet that was not the end of the tail. It continued to feather out. Before long a jagged mouth appeared just below the enormous eyes. Then finally out sprang a pair of feathery arms with wildly clutching claws. "My tail has gone wild!" exclaimed Pruitt. "It's turned into a green-eyed monster! What a terrible tail! But then, after all," he sighed, "I grew it, so I suppose I'll just have to get used to it. I only hope the other peacocks can, too." Okay, after reading that, I want you to pick out what word or phrase did you hear that helped you imagine how Pruitt's tale looks. You need to write one of those words or phrases on the back of your sticky note. So on the back of your sticky note, write one of those words or phrases, or more if you'd like. Here's page 8 blown up a little bit bigger so you can see the words. You're going to pick at least one word or phrase that is a really good descriptive detail that helps you visualize Pruitt's tale. Write that on the back of your sticky note. When you're done, I want you to put your sticky note on the sticky spot. And make sure your name is on it. You can pause the video and keep looking at this if you need to keep looking for a descriptive phrase. Thank you.